The Kyiv Independent is premiering a documentary on their country's combat medics and their doctors, and a very special program that helps them recover from the unspeakable horrors they see and experience. Here's a clip.
Тут ситуація, яка склалася, що загибель побратима, і вона мене не відпускає.
Я став на нього.
Вистачило 15 хвилин довести його до стоп-пункту.
У нас же ж був обстріл, і в нас з'явився страх, що ти можеш загинути в секунду.
Оперативний. 200. Давайте, оцей дуже важкий.
As I just mentioned, Olga, its premiere showing is here in Washington this afternoon, but it's already been shown all around Europe, am I right?
Yeah, that's correct.
And
That's correct.
what's the response been?
I mean, it's overwhelming support, and also this is the kind of film that, you know, it's kind of not what people usually see coming out of Ukraine, because you see films and videos and reports of all kinds about frontline developments, about soldiers on the front line. You see, and when you see these medics working, these combat medics, it's usually in a video of them saving lives. But what the film does is follows their journey of, you know, getting help themselves, because they do need help, because they witness unspeakable horrors all the time, and the film follows them as they go on, you know, sort of a retreat, on a trip that is supposed to help them, but then they go back to the front line, and we follow them through the whole journey.
I think many people don't realize these medics, what they're enduring, and the dangers they're enduring, and they're dying as well out there on the front line, especially now. I've reported on how Russian drones have made it near impossible at times to get people out.
They're targeting medics. They're targeting people who are, you know, who shouldn't be targeted in a normal warfare. They're targeting journalists. And with the medics, the situation is that, you know, they are risking a lot. They are in a very dangerous position, and they're saving lives. But what is new about this film is also focuses on their mental health, on what they suffer.
Yeah, and what can you tell me about that? I mean, if you're going not just days, weeks, months, but years in this type of environment, fearing for your life every day, I mean, it must just be something that takes an enormous toll. What is this week of rehab, or rehab's the wrong word, but this week of seeing therapists, getting a break, what does that do for them?
I mean, they are really the heroes. They are real life heroes. They are the people who witness unspeakable things every day. The intensity of those units near the front line, where the wounded soldiers are brought, and you see it in the film. It stays with you, and you know, these people, they are going in there every day, not asking for help, really not thinking about themselves. And what's, you know, so special about this program is it kind of, I think it's taking care of them. And I think it's something that they don't usually get, you know, because they're the ones taking care of people. And now then somebody comes in and takes care of themselves. And not just on the level of, you know, here's food, here's a warm room, here's some rest, but actually, how do you feel? What do you think about this? Because it's not unique for the medics. It's everybody who is living in Ukraine now. Everybody is living through this trauma without processing it. You know, I think we will catch up years later with how it's affecting everybody. And it is so important to, you know, to take them out of Ukraine for, you know, that short period, to sit them with therapists and to try to help them to carry on. But, you know, then they just go back to the front lines, and it's a respite for them, but they, you know, they go back and they go through the same trauma again.
I want to ask you about what happened overnight. 2:30 a.m. local time, major attack on Kyiv. You woke up, see this news, and this involves your reporters there on the ground. And I know from your reporting that they were themselves reporting what they were seeing themselves last night.
Right. It is actually worse than that, because of the time difference. When you're here, you see it in the evening. So I saw it as I was going to sleep, that there's an attack on my city, and I was trying to catch up with everybody, trying to see if they're okay. It's, you kind of have in your head, you remember where everybody lives, everybody that you know in which part of the city they live. And you follow the news and you see that this part was attacked, there was an attack in the north, there's a building hit by a drone in the south, and you do this geography in your head where like, okay, do I know somebody who lives in this area? And you text them. And it's pretty terrible witnessing it from here. To be honest, it's easier to be in there during the attack because you just, at least you're going through it with everybody.
And everyone's okay from your team?
Everyone's on the team is okay from what I understand now, but the attack was not just on Kyiv, it was on the entire country with a focus on taking out energy infrastructure. But energy infrastructure is in the cities, and that means that a lot of people were injured, and unfortunately a 7-year-old boy was killed in the city of Zaporizhzhia in Ukraine.
And there's power outages right now, no water in much of the city?
Correct. And this is big because, Russia has been targeting energy infrastructure ever since 2022, and they were able to put us through periods of blackouts in 2022 and 2023. But since then, it's been a different story. At least for Kyiv, which is the capital and the biggest city, we did not have this long, power outages, and Russia has not been successful in that. But tonight, it's different. And I woke up here in DC. I showered and I washed my hair, and that's what nobody in Kyiv was able to do this morning, because nobody has water, and most people don't have electricity today.
Yeah, I think that's an important point you're making. This is a different moment, and I've certainly been in Kyiv when there have been the power outages, but they were fairly short-lived. This seems like a more devastating attack, the one that happened overnight.
Yes, it seems so. We do get the news that the energy workers, who are, by the way, also unspoken heroes of this war, they are rushing to the sites and they are working there. And Russia has been actually sometimes targeting them in double-tap attacks, specifically to target the people who are there to fix the damage. So we hope it doesn't happen this time. But they are working to get the lights back in the people's homes.
I want to talk about something else now. Since the beginning of the full-scale invasion, there are reporters from all over the world, myself amongst them, who've been out on the front lines, in the trenches, following this war very closely, doing live shots from the battle itself. We're not seeing as much of that right now for one very simple reason. It is so unsafe. It's very difficult to mitigate the risk of going to those locations. You're still sending your reporters to the front lines, and how are you having to adjust given how much more dangerous it's becoming to be there with Ukrainian troops?
I mean, our reporters are doing a very rigid assessment of the safety, and the advice that I give them is when you're in doubt at all, don't go there, because stories are not worth human lives. But unfortunately, you can't always predict, and it is. What is an added danger is that Russia specifically targets journalists. We're speaking today exactly 1 week after 2 journalists were targeted by Russia on the front line.
A French journalist?
So the French photojournalist, Anthony Loican, who was killed on the spot. And Ukrainian photojournalist who was with him, Yuri Ivanchenko, who has worked with our outlet in the past too, he survived the attack, but unfortunately he lost a leg. And
this was a drone attack.
What's very important about this is it was not just a drone attack, it was an attack by a first-person view drone. And just for your audience to understand, this is a kind of drone where you see the target pretty well. And that means, and they were wearing press badges. And you can't not see the Russian operator who was pressing the button definitely saw that he was targeting journalists. And Russia does it for a reason.
Well, I have the opportunity, I want to ask you about something else, and that is, we've been seeing how Ukraine has very successfully been mounting long-range strikes on Russian oil and gas energy infrastructure, right? And it seems like both sides right now are attacking one another when it comes to energy infrastructure.
There's something I want to clarify there. They attack energy infrastructure that impacts civilians. They're taking out electricity for civilians. Ukraine is taking out oil refineries to undermine Russia's ability to make money to fund the war. That's a critical difference.
Right, though it is affecting Russians in terms of we've seen the lines for getting gas for their vehicles and whatnot. I'm just wondering, is there's a strategic move in terms of trying to put pressure on Russians themselves to, I don't know, to say to their government, enough is enough?
That's a very good question. I don't know if that is the idea. I think the idea is more to put economic pressure on Russia. But, you know, if Russians are unhappy and, you know, that's an added value. But at the same time, unfortunately, you know, we've seen them supporting the war overwhelmingly, and that's not really changing. There is more disgruntlement now because we follow Russian sources pretty closely. We're trying all the time to understand what people are saying. And there's more disgruntlement now. There's more like people saying the war's not going so well for us. But at the same time, there is an overwhelming support for the whole idea of continuing the war and for eliminating Ukraine among the Russian population.